Okay, so this is about Lidia Thorpe. This came up on Facebook, and it was mainly about her doing this and calling herself sovereign. She knew she was betraying her tribe. She had a conflict within herself, and she knew on some level she was doing something really wrong. Now, did Senator Lydia Thorpe betray her own tribe and her high claim to the sacred ground? Can she walk into her tribal land anymore? She has basically she's basically sided with the enemy that induced man to massacre her people. I'm going to cover her oath and the oath for Australian citizenship. And I'm going to read it out right now. I'm going to read out both. Then I'm going to come back. Excuse me, just ate. Horrible, I know. I'm going to cover her oath and then the oath of citizenship for Australia. I, Lydia Thorpe, do solemnly, sincerely affirm and declare that I will faithfully and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. That's a senator for the Parliament of Australia. Right, that's the corporation, the privately owned corporation listed on the SEC. Now, for citizenship, from this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia, its people. These democratic beliefs I share, these rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Now, these words are Latin. All languages in Europe come from Latin, except for Russian. They use a slightly different alphabet, and it goes back. Russian is as old as Sanskrit, apparently. It goes back 8,000 years. Now, people say, well, English is German, and, well, German comes from French because the Germanics learnt the alphabet from the Romans. They contracted with them. Germans were living, they were connected, they were tribal, they were barefoot, they lived in the forest, they ate animals and the fruit, and they were connected. So all the alphabets of Europe comes out of Rome. Rome comes out of Greece, and Greece comes out of Jerusalem. And there's a lot of people saying that there's a book called the Scythians, not Scythians, Scythians. And I tried reading it. It was like I can't read anything where someone just waffles on for fucking hours about. Get to the point. I'm trying to stay on topic. And so he was doing a Stephen Spears talking. Stephen Spears spends most of his time telling everyone how fucking great he is. Oh, I wish that, yeah, fucking, yeah. And he just, like, I'm not talking about, you're talking about your story. I tried reading his book, and it was just like, first 10 pages was just fucking, get to the fucking point. 10 pages. 4 pages is 20 minutes if you're reading it out. Right? It was crazy. Anyway, I'm doing a Stephen Spears, sorry. So I is the ego. Right? If you look up where the letter I comes from in Latin, it means the ego. That's not mind, body, and spirit. Lydia Thorpe do solemnly, Solemly, solemly, Solomon, E-A-I-O, and you're interchangeable, so E-M is O-M, right? I can't remember, one's Hindu, I'll look it up again, where they come from, but O-M and O-N mean sun. So solemnly is solemnly. It's a sun worship. Barrister, solicitor, magistrate, and the priest wear the black robe. They wear the white underneath. White is not a race. White is a legal term. It's maritime. Living helix people. Right. So I, Lydia Thorpe, do solemnly and sincerely. Sin is sign, because G before N in Latin is silent. So sincerely is sign. S-I-G-N. Because you signed. And affirm, or to make firm, to make a claim, clare. I come from Clare, right? Making a claim, clare means claim. So no firm and no claim. that I will be faithful, which is where fiducia comes from, which means binding, which means pledge, which means contract. Will be faithful and bear, which means to endure, true allegiance. Now, a leg is a journey, and legi means to read. All right, legi, allegiance. The I becomes an E. Allegiance, and there's a C at the end of it. All right, so leg is C, and CE is C, and a leg is a journey, and allegory is it's a journey not travelled. It's a story to pass on the idea of having done the journey. It's how you convey an idea. Allegory. So we got solemnly, you got sincerely, you got no formation, you got no claim, you got contract, burden, which is bear, true mark man's vessel energy. You got allegiance, which is no legi, which means no right on the sea. Then you got to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Now, her is feminine. Majesty is great. Queen is a corporation in English law, and Elizabeth is the name of the corporation. Now, her is the feminine. All ships are feminine. Majesty is great. It comes from major, magus, magister. And Queen, King in English law is a corporation. The New Law Dictionary 1793. And also, if you go to Captain Slappy on YouTube, his clip that starts playing, just slow it down and read it'll take you 2 hours to write it all down. So King in English law is a corporation. Inclusio exclusio maxim, therefore Queen. I haven't found Queen yet, but I will, because it'll just drop out of the sky. Right? Like it usually does. I go looking for it, I find it. I've got the idea, it's there, so when you go looking for it, and the mechanics is there, the mathematics is there, the physics is there. So Queen in English law is a corporation, but Queen is the Admiralty, because the Queen, when Mark Murtry did an awesome clip about, and his clip was taken down, Freedom Summit 2014. If anyone can find it, I'll pay money for it. So Freedom Summit 2014, and he clearly states, and he reads it out verbatim, that the Queen was told she's got no jurisdiction over tribal land, over the tribes or their land, and not interfere with them and not trick them into signing contracts. Well, they tricked Lidia into signing a contract and becoming Thorpe, because on the birth certificate that I was led to believe was me, it says rank or employment. That's what a surname is. It's rank or employment. Lex loci, customary law, custody. It's all fucking military. You're on their ship, or you're lost at sea. So, her is feminine, Majesty is great, Queen is corporation, and Elizabeth is a name, and it's the second incarnation. Right. So, in means no, car means to burn, and nation means people, Gentile. So, second incarnation. Her heirs and successors according to law. So, suck, su. It means no. Cess is waste. Su is a negative, or it's low. Yeah. Sabrepo means to creepeth, which is where surname comes from. Successors, so no waste and no contract to law. L is the shepherd, A is the alpha, and W is the sea, is the water. So basically, Lidia Thorpe do solemnly sign, no firm, no clear, will pledge and bear true, no contract to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. It's all negative state. Right? English is negative state. Now, so I'll read that out again. I, Lidia Thorpe, do solemnly, sincerely affirm and declare that I will will be faithful and I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors according to law. Now I'll read the next one. I'll read it and then I'll do it. So from this time forward, under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, these democratic beliefs I share, these rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Okay, so from this time forward. So time is world. World is time, and it's a measurement of a civilization. So from this civilization forward, ward is a ward of the state, is the property of the state. A ward comes from guard, which means a rank in the state. So future For is future. Foretell means future tell. So forward means future guard or slave to the state. Under, un means no. Der is ter, which means the sea. So future ward, see God. Yeah. And God is grantor of deed, generator or destroyer. But if you know ungroi, ungfoi, ungloi, ungroi is one God, ungfoi is one faith, and ungloi is one law. So Roy means God. They use Old French, Latin, Hebrew, a bit of Aramaic, and Greek. Greek's the least used. They use it in medicine. So therefore, Roy means God, and Al is Hebrew for it's a prefixation meaning Almighty. Alpha shepherd. So royal means God. So from this world, future slave, see God. That's how it translates. I pledge, so bonded, my loyalty to Australia. Loy is low, L-O is low, right? The Y can be an I and E. So loyalty, belief, manifests the idea, and you adhere to the idea. I share these rights. You have no rights. And I've jumped a line. Loyalty to Australia, so loyalty to Australia and its people. So Australia is a person, is a corporation, is a property of the United States. See vessel of the United States, USC, 28 USC, vessel of the United States. Google it. And people are persons. These democratic beliefs I share. So democratic, democracy, race. Ra is the sun, and C is the sea, and demos, democracy doesn't come from, or democratic doesn't come from demos. It comes that does, and then it goes back to demotic, and they were the slaves to Egypt. So democratic beliefs are a slave belief I share, because they want you to go to peace. They want a piece of your property, your sweat equity. They want to share. These rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Okay, so these rights, there are no rights, and liberties. Liber is a book, and T is the mark. So these rights and liberties. So liberty means contract, because it's the mark in a book. It's a book, mark. Right? I respect, spectacle is used to see. Respect means no sight. So I not see, and whose maritime, LAWS, shepherd alpha water, force, I will uphold, that means you're under, and obey, or bay is the bay. And when you're in the bay, you're in a safe harbour, you're honourable, yeah, you're at the dock, but you're not, you're lost at sea. All right, so obey, obtuse, O in front of a letter, A in front of a letter, moral, amoral. So a vowel in front of the vowel in front of the consonant destroys what it is. Right, so ter is earth, terrestrial, terra nullius. So ter means no ter, and ter is their ship. Na is no, and L is the shepherd. So no ship, no shepherd. And eternal is one of the strong. So what they do is they get water and they freeze it. You get a crystal. So then what they do is they get dirty water and they freeze it, and you get a crystal. They write the word eternal on there, and the crystal with the dirty water, it's all blobby and shitty looking. But when you write eternal on the container that holds the water, the word or the crystal is almost perfect again. The geometry changes the structure of the water, and it purifies the structure, because imperfections is just geometry in shape of electrons. It's atomic structure. And so when you put new geometry on the outside, and it radiates its energy, because it was put on there with thought, so it maintains an energy field. And that energy field restructures the water and purifies it. This is a French physicist and a Japanese physicist, and it's called an effect, because it's not a law, it's an observed effect, because they can see it's happening, but they can't explain it. Now, a theory is something that someone's idea, but it's not proven, and a law is something that is someone's idea and it is provable mathematically, physically. So anyway, Senator Lydia Thorpe betrayed her own tribe. Did she? That's a question. And lost her high claim to sacred ground. I mean, if she was a blackfella, technically, she shouldn't be allowed to go and do a corroboree. You can't have a foot in both worlds. It's like someone's written down, learn equity and merge the titles. Titles. Tit. L. Tittle. Tit of L. Is that this guy? Right, because he's got breasts and he's their god. The world was void and without form. Now, I recorded this clip, and guess what? I turned off the Wi-Fi. It was completely mute. And I started talking, and then as soon as I started talking about the topic, the sound disappeared. So I've gone and turned off the Wi-Fi. Now I'm going to basically stop this clip and press play. And if you can hear me, you know it worked. All right, that's it. So Senator Lydia Thorpe, they have a different oath in their corporation, Parliament, to the oath of an Australian. I'll say this much. When I was in the army, I was in there for a year, a bit over a year. I was a paratrooper. And one of the, I think it was the adjutant or someone came down and he goes, "You're not an Australian citizen." And no, it wasn't. It was actually, I had to go and see the adjutant, I think I had to go and see the adjutant. The sergeant came down or someone. He goes, "You're not an Australian citizen." And I went, "No, I'm Irish." This is what I said. And then he goes, "Well, you've got to be an Australian citizen to be in the army." I said, "Oh, I guess that means I've got to leave the army." He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm not pledging allegiance to the Queen." I said, "That cunt murdered my fucking tribe, murdered my people." And yeah, I was in the army. I was in, even did 6 months in pipes and drums before I went down to do my trade and all this kind of shit. And I wore the Scots Guard. But like soldiers, we don't do it for the Queen. We do it for our mates. We do it for the people we love. And anyway, so he said, "No, you don't. He just smiled at me and he said, "Don't worry, you don't have to pledge allegiance to the Queen when you become an Australian citizen." And it was like he knew. It was like it's like if he's looking up at him today, like I was sitting down when he come up and said it, and I was like, "I know what you mean," but it's all when someone says something, I listen. I might be arguing or whatever, but I'm still listening. And if it's something that I haven't heard before, or something that's strange, or something that's unusual, I never lose it. It's like fucking logging it away. I can remember back to when I was like in diapers. And anyway, it's just a strange thing, the things you remember. But yeah, basically that's why you've got the senator swearing allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, but then the High Court says that the monarchy is a foreign entity and has no jurisdiction over Australia. And then you've got case law where they're trying to say now, the High Court's saying it's a separate entity. Then you've got the Australia Act, which created a new Australia with the Queen of Australia, a corporate entity. But then when you go back to Parliament, it's Her Majesty. It's almost the correct one. It should say Scotland, Ireland, Wales, blah blah blah. But that's almost the way it used to be. And then you've got this fake Queen one now called Queen of Australia, which is the authorising entity of the corporation. It's actually the property of America. So you've got the actual correct title for the Admiralty, the Queen. Then you've got the abbreviated version for Parliament, and then you've got no Queen at all for Australian citizen. So that's the conundrum. They've got layers of corporations, because the king is a corporation. They've got layers of corporations, and I've I just seen this last night because I just thought back to my oath that I had to swear when I became an Australian citizen back in the day, back in 1996, 1995, 1996. And I just thought, that doesn't sound like the one I saw from memory. And then I looked up the one they're swearing today, which I'm pretty sure wouldn't have changed. And then, oh yeah, and then you've got the Australia Act UK, which separates itself from Australia. So that was the other question. So how is Senator Lidia Thorpe swearing allegiance to the Queen when the monarchy no longer has a claim over Australia? We've got the Australia Act UK 1986. We've got the Australia Act Australia, which separates without a referendum. So it's all bullshit, which separates. Like the Federation is all bullshit. The penal colonies are all bullshit. Slavery is illegal. Everyone in the penal colony is a fucking slave. You know, Deborah Bentley's going around telling everyone, your landed estate. That's fiction. I can only be a living being, and that's called Homo sapien, or a man in English. That's all I can be, right? You can have a translation. Trans means to change, but you can only have a meaning. Right? Definition. Fin means the end. Safe and e, which is what you see in the movies. So definition means no end. That's why you don't want to use the word definition. It means no end. And so you've got this conundrum where the colonisation was illegal, terra nullius was illegal. Eddie Mabo isn't his actual name. He's got a tribal name. He doesn't have a fucking surname. They're tribal. They're not Aboriginal. They're not Indigenous. They're not Traditio. You've got an illegal occupation. Then you've got an illegal constitution. Then you've got an illegal Australia Act. Then you've got slavery going on called acts. You've got slavery going on through usufruct by forcing us to use their fiat currency. They illegally remove money. So it's illegal, but you can argue the legalities of what they did within the confines of their terms. They're doing it illegally, but their terms are illegal anyway. Because terror is their ship. Terror is not the ground. Terror is earth, and earth is not the ground. Right? The blackfellas have hallowed ground, sacred ground, and so this word is creeped in like person. And so the word per means by way of, and sun is the light, by way of the light. Again, it's solicitor, person, barrister, solemnly, and the magistrate and the priest. They wear the black robe. They wear the white. White is the living. White isn't a color legally. Look up white under the old dictionaries. There's a clip. The Moorish people. He wears the hat. When everyone gets a bit of knowledge, they start dressing up. Crazy hair. I can't do that. Crazy hats. But he's got some good stuff, and he says the word white is a legal definition. It's not a color. Technically white isn't even a color. White is light. Yeah. Color exists within light, but light and white is not a color. And legally, white is not. White is as defined as a Jew or a Moorish person. There's many races of people in the definition of the word white legally, and it's not actually white people. And the Moorish people are classified as white. It's a legal status. And so W is the living, H is helix, and ITE is people, the mind's mark and the energy of man. So hopefully this clip worked out. Otherwise, there's another 24 minutes of my time. And so basically, and white is the legal status. Right? I'm Caucasoid. Right? Corku. Not Mongoloid. Funny name, that. So that's pretty much it. So you've got the illegal occupation, you've got the illegal constitution, you've got the illegal state constitutions, you've got the illegal Australia Acts, you've got the illegal the illegal Australia Act UK. Then you've got the Constitution itself says that Australia is the Cook, Keeling Islands, Torres Strait Island, and Norfolk Island. And then you've got the Family Law Court Act saying it's Norfolk Island. And then you've got birth includes stillbirth, which is dead, and inclusia exclusia maxim. So the whole fucking system, it's based on fraud. Every aspect of the system is based on fraud. It's based on murder. It's based on terrorizing. They terrorized me with the fucking drugs, right? I felt my weakest and my most vulnerable when I was on these drugs. Weakens the mind and spirit. I mean, I'd sit and watch stuff and go, oh fuck, I still want to do that. I still want to do that. I want to go back and do it. And when I was on the drugs, it was like, oh fuck, I couldn't do that. It was like, no, that's how they damage my spirit. They damage my heart. They damage my soul. Right? It poisons you. And when all these people on the ice, it poisons them, and they're like and they're actually shriveling inside. And then you see the body, the energy footprint, which is your light, your aura. The younger you are, the stronger you are. So the less wrinkles you have, and the less And so when they get on the ice, it damages the spirit, and they retract, and they age. They just age, and it leaves room for another entity to come in and occupy the vessel. And that's why the first thing they say to people is, do you hear voices? Now, you got voices where it can be like an echo of your own voice, or you can start hearing demonic voices. They know what they're doing. I'm going to do a clip next, and it's going to explain that the lesser keys of Solomon, geometry represents 71 demons, and the geometry is a form of possession. And you manifest. It's like you speak to a guy who works as a doctor, and he'll tell you he's a doctor. He believes he is the words on the page. He believes he is the sound. No, dock is where the ship pulls in, and ter is the ship. Yeah, ter is earth. Earth sits above the ground. It's a movable thing. All right, so I'll do a clip on that next. I was going to do something else. I can't remember now. Anyway, that's it. So you've got two oaths happening. Shouldn't it be the same oath? And why is the Queen involved? Why is the Queen involved when you got the Australia Act UK, you got the Australia Act Australia, and why isn't the Queen involved in the citizenship? Because the citizen is not the subject of the Queen. So lots of contradictions. Lots of contradictions. Governor Mark Murtry talks about Governor Phillip in his own diary said they had law, they had religion, they had customs, and they were connected to the ground, like physically standing on the ground. They claim as theirs. So they're connected to the ground. They had the customs, they had law, like their religion, they had the law, and they had language. And so that's the definition of a nation of people. That's what they call society. So how can the Queen come in and claim land when she's not fucking standing on it? And then they say, well, this is my representative. Re means no. Present. Presentient. It's fiction. It's like revenue. Well, this is the venue. We've got to revenue it to another venue because this one's broken out. It's not revenue. It's not a resource. Minerals are the source of wealth. This shit is worth nothing. Imagine being a blackfella sitting there. You're a chief, got your spear in your hand. You've got all your warriors standing around. You get some guy coming in, with a hat like this, and then he's waving one of these around. I've got authorization to fucking murder all of you. Behave. Alright. Then you got Stephen Spears coming in, who just fucking shits on everyone, calls everyone fucking idiots, and then he's talking about some fucking foundation stone with an anchor. That's settlement. And settlement, set means death. Settlement means kill the mind. How do they do it? They fucking poison the water. Google sodium fluoride bag. Click on images, and it says it targets teeth, organs, heart, kidneys, lungs, immune system, liver, and teeth. I won't smile. Anyway, that's it.